Good.
On this edition of Cars Tour Would You Rather, on a cross-country road trip, would you rather drive or be the passenger?
Driver. I don't trust anybody else.
Probably go with driver. Probably just because I like to be doing something. I know passenger, you kind of just like look at your phone and stuff, but definitely driver. I feel like I like to drive quite a bit.
Driver first half, passenger second half. Just because.
Probably the passenger. I like doing the navigation and I'm real good at being a DJ in the car, so that's probably where I would be.
Driver. I like to be in control.
Definitely driver, because I don't like riding unless I'm sleeping.
Driver. I like to be in control of what I'm doing. I'd rather be the driver. I'd rather be the one in control.
Definitely the driver. Specifically because I like to be in control of what I'm doing at all times. And mainly I just don't trust other people driving.
The driver for sure. I'd like to drive.
Passenger. I like to ride, I don't know. Sleep maybe, who knows?
Got to be the driver. I like to be in control.
One foggy Thursday in Austria later, nothing changes atop the NARL point standings. So, it's rinse and repeat, same song, second verse in order to determine a champion. And it's all going down at the historic Donington Park. A venue first opened in the 1930s and reopened in the 1970s with massive elevation change and multiple S's and hairpins sounds exactly like the right track to cap off the best ever season of GT3 racing on PitStopTV. Welcome to the virtual Leicestershire, England. Glad to be here virtually and glad to share the mic this evening with JP Costa, with the socials being handled, of course, by Trey Shuttlesworth. Right, so JP, it's the season finale, 8 of 8, and we're just between Birmingham and Nottingham at a little track that gets overshadowed by its world-renowned brothers, Donington Park. Despite being mostly a GT touring car and club racing track, JP, Donington is one of the UK's older circuits and remains pretty close to the original layout from way back in the 30s.
Yeah, exactly. It's a fantastic historical circuit, and it has hosted F1 before, has hosted amazing races, and obviously it suits GT3 racing so well, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be a great finale. As you can see from the track map, it looks quite simple, but with all the elevation changes, it's very technical, and it can be very difficult for some of these drivers.
Simple is the last way I would describe this place. It might look a little bit simple, I can see that, but this is a very technical, fast circuit. You can see the world record here is in the 117s, 117.707, set by Kimiya Sato back in 2013. The GT3 world record here, however, was set at a 128.071 by Frederick Machiavecchi. I think, I'm not certain, honestly. That's a name that we'll leave to the professionals as far as pronouncing that, but point being, it was set by a McLaren in 2012. The same McLaren these drivers have the option of running here today. Now, if those drivers are running it, I'm not sure. In fact, I highly doubt we've got McLarens in the field. But boy, what a homecoming it would be if McLaren took victory today at Donington Park. Let's take a look at our standings. After 7 rounds of 8, this is how things shape up as Matthew Dench took a back seat to Jackson Resende's very dominant victory at the Red Bull Ring. Fabio Zamperlini promotes himself up into 3rd, 16 points out of the title, tied with Scott Reister, but has the tiebreaker in that win from back at Interlagos. So you see things relatively, I'd say, the same on the pro side in the teal, the blue. If you look over to the yellow, however, JP, things are a little bit more complicated. Spencer Hewins now atop the standings with his 4 victories. Blake Scott 2nd, Joshua Benjamin 3rd. They're all within 10 points of one another. Bruno Alcaraz moves up into 4th, with Jose Morado Manriquez dropping to 5th.
Yeah, exactly. Both championships are very close and can swing in one way or the other. We could see an upset not only in the pro category, obviously hardly call an upset with Jackson being how dominant he was throughout the season, but in the amateur category, we could see a driver with maybe 2 wins upset a driver with 4 who has a major turnaround in event throughout the season after he got some coaching. He has just been dominant, but everything can change here tonight.
Going hand in hand with our driver standings, we've got team standings to look at for the first time, and this is a bit interesting to look at. You can see Kanani Esports taking things pretty easily in the pro category, 105-point buffer, but keep in mind, I do believe these are doubled standings, basically. You could earn double points. You can earn, I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe it's about 100 points per team each race. So realistically, NARL Racing, they might be out of it for the championship, but they're still pretty darn close to Kanani Esports. And let's not forget Wahuka Racing, right there in 3rd. I was surprised to see that. Twisted Racing Team is sitting there in 4th, go all the way down the line there in Pro. Over to the AM category, though, 3 teams, not 3 drivers, 3 teams are within 14 points of each other. Scott Racing only has 4 points back to Wheel Deal, and Team Empire Silver is only a few more back.
Yeah, and it's going to be majorly important for Wheel Deal or Team Empire Silver to have a good race. We know how strong the Scots are, essentially. We've seen races where they have just been following one another throughout the race, and, well, unfortunately, luck hasn't always been on their side, but they're leading the championship, and I'm pretty sure they intend on keeping it that way, especially in the final round.
And you can see only 9 teams listed in Pro and 6 in AM. That is because a lot of these drivers do run as independents, one of those being, of course, our championship competitor in Matthew Dench. Getting on the racetrack, though, Qualifying is well and underway. Fabio Zamperlini currently is fastest by about 2/10 and some change, almost 3/10. Scott Reister is into second. Jose Antonio Ramos Lopez into third. Giuseppe Rivas fourth. And currently, Bryce Rodriguez taking up the 5th position.
Yeah, looks like some of the big guns, I'd say we could call it, have not yet set a lap time, but looks like Fabio Zamperlini is doing a fantastic time, at least for the time being. Obviously, Reister does want to catch up. Remember, they're tied on points, but Zamperlini has won a race this season at Canadian Tire, so he has that tiebreak you mentioned, Andrew. And, well, it's going to be important for him to keep it that way. And so far, with provisional pole and a healthy gap to second place, he's looking really good.
Here's Giuseppe Rivas out of Hispano-America, running currently in 4th in qualifying. Bryce Rodriguez out of New York is sitting in 5th. Love that Alpine livery. That is just beautiful. Bruno Alcaraz has just broken up a lot of the pros as Matthew Dench goes up top of everybody, up to first by almost 2/10. The independent now in a Lamborghini this week, going pretty quick.
Yeah, that was an amazing lap, Matthew Dench. We're going to have to wait and see if Zamperlini has anything to respond, and obviously, we're still waiting for his championship rival, Jackson Resende, to sell out lap time. Looks like Scott Kimbrough has also changed cars. I'm pretty sure that Audi also with a striking livery. I really love that. And looks like the championship might be on for the livery of the week as well, Andrew. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, quite potentially. As you mentioned, Jackson Resende, this is different. From a BMW now to a Mercedes. Not something I ever would have expected for Jackson Resende and Canon Esports, but they have opted for the Mercedes this week. I believe Fabio has stayed in a Lamborghini. Yes, he has, so that's interesting. The fact that they've got such a wildly split car choice, but if I have to be honest, if there was one car that it makes sense for Jackson Resende to pick, if it's not the BMW, it's got to be the Mercedes. They've got the most similar balance between any of the cars within this GT3 lineup, so to go from one front-engined car to the other, I think makes a bit of sense for Jackson.
Yeah, obviously, he'll probably feel at home quicker than if he was, let's say, in an Audi or Lamborghini, so could be a smart choice by him. I'm pretty sure he's matching the car choice of his championship rival, Matthew Dench, as Bruno Alcaraz looks like he's going to be setting a lap time, so does Tamayo. Looks like he's still in 8th place. In 3rd place for the amateur class, they're doing actually a fantastic time. Only half a second off the championship leader, the overall. So the amateur drivers really stepping up, at least on this qualifying session. And, well, we're going to have to wait and see if Resende can pull up some time because he's currently in 5th place, nearly half a second behind them.
We've talked a lot about the pro competitors so far. Here's Spencer Hewins, 4 wins in a row in the amateur category. He now leads the standings and is in 8th currently in qualifying. That's smack dab in the middle of the podium if they were to finish up as they may well start. Now Giuseppe Rivas splits those guys up a little bit, goes a little bit faster than Spencer Hewins, and it looks like Hewins' run is one and done potentially. Comes into the pit lane, and we'll get a little bit of pitting practice. It's a great time to mention the pit entry here is very abrupt out of the final corner at a Goddard, so you got to be very, very careful getting over there, first of all, but it's not that longer pit entry that you see in, well, other iterations of this longer circuit. Let's take a look again, actually, at the circuit and talk about this a little bit, JP. You can see from the time that we came here with the Pacific Challenge to now, we've added that, well, basically the Melbourne hairpin. We still go into the S's, but instead of there being a chicane straight through to Goddard's, you now run down to turn 11, that Melbourne hairpin, instead of just from the Starkey straight chicane onto the Wheatcross straight. So a little bit different, and that pit entry in yellow is actually the normal pit entry here at Donington Park, but in iRacing, we don't use that pit entry. Why? I don't know, but I can tell you, you immediately have to pull left out of turn 12 at a Goddard's onto that pit lane behind the pit wall if you want to pit.
Yeah, exactly, and that's going to be a major challenge in the race because if you have someone following you closely, as we've seen throughout the season, it does happen everywhere in the grid, you do have to sacrifice quite a lot of exit speed out of turn 12 to get into the pit lane, so it could provide some interesting, let's say, contact between some drivers because you cannot go flat out, you cannot take the normal racing line out of turn 12, and, well, it could prove challenging if you're driving ahead and you want to pit, essentially to overcut or undercut some of your challengers.
So, time running out here in qualifying, only about 90 seconds to go, and let's just keep taking a look here at the circuit. This place is wild. Turn 1, red gate, it's relatively, I think, straightforward. It's I do believe it is offset from where the pole sitter would start on the outside going into turn 1. So they've got to try and sweep in front of in front of second place starting position, whoever that may be. In this case, it's looking like it may be Matthew Dench over Fabio Zamperlini. And getting down through turn 1, you've then got to set up for another right turn, which is a bit different. A lot of times you have a right into a left or left into a right, whatever, it's switchbacks, but not here. You go from red gate, a right-hander, to a sweeping right-hander, starting your descent downhill, kind of into a valley almost in turn 2. The craner curves really catch you off guard if you aren't careful. You actually have to swing further right than you might think for turn number 3, so you got to swing a good ways right to turn left for craner curves and the old hairpin, which I don't know why it's called a hairpin. It's definitely not a hairpin. It's a right-hand corner. But anyway, Starkey's Bridge brings you back up the hill towards McLean's, and I would say McLean's might be one of the trickier corners. You can hike up that rear a little bit before you head up the hill to Coppice. Coppice is pretty straightforward. Turn 8, it just goes on forever and ever before you head onto the Starkey Straight and down to the S's and the Melbourne hairpin. Overall, I think every corner means just about as much as the next, but if you had to nail down any one corner, it's probably Coppice that is most important, that very long right-hander for turn 8, because you get the longest straightaway of the course, JP, so I dare say that might be a corner these drivers need to capitalize on this afternoon. 12 corners in all, and we're about to see these guys go for 50 minutes around this famed UK circuit. Qualifying wrapping up, staging on the way, these drivers heading over to the grid, and we are ready to look down our starting grid. All 27 cars, let's see who we've got. On pole, of course, it is Matthew Dench in the 283. Fabio Zamperlini starts second. Starting third, it's going to be none other than Scott Reister in the 242. Jose Antonio Ramos Lopez, his second start in the series, he starts fourth. Jackson Rosende, the other championship competitor alongside Matthew Dench, he will start from 5th. Scott Kimbrough over his shoulder. Starting in the 7th position, it's going to be Bruno Alcaraz, the amateur pole sitter in the 144, followed up by Giuseppe Rivas. Starting in the 9th spot, it's Spencer Hewins. Federico Tamayo rounds out your top 10.
Starting off in 11th place, we do have Bryce Rodriguez in the 299 and John Sadlek in the 203 starting off in 12th place. In 13th place, we do have Micah Barnett in the 259 and Josue Manriquez in the 156 in 14th. Running off row number 8, we do have Rob Rodriguez in the 125, the 166 of Mark Scott in 16th place. 17th place, we're going to have, that's Carl Gross in the 201 and the 178 of Joshua Benjamin in this 18th place. And row number 10, we're going to have William Coffey and Clarence Rosa in the 101.
7 more cars to make up our grid this afternoon for round 8 of 8. Philip Ranieri going to start from the 21st position in the 108 alongside William Valdez in the 128. Starting from the 23rd position, it's going to be Armando Bejaran alongside Sean Patterson in the 154. Tyler Campbell, I believe, is going to be our deepest pro starter. He's starting 25th this evening alongside Jose Antonio Ramos, with Billy Bowerman bringing up the rear. He is starting 27th of 27. You can see Tyler there actually opting for a Lamborghini, different from last week's BMW that he ran for FTR Esports. Up at the front, though, it's all Matthew Dench and Fabio Zamperlini, and yes, Matthew Dench going to start on the outside. Well, actually, no, that's different. So he's going to be starting on the inside for turn number 1. That should eliminate any move that Fabio Zamperlini may be trying to make for the lead into Redgate to open up the race. We'll take a look here in just a moment as we get ready to go green flag racing from Donington. Out of the final corner, already on the loud pedal, green flag from Donington. The final round of Season 1 of the North American Racing League is underway, and there's already a crash. Oh, that's Jackson Resende going around towards the front of the field. A problem for the Mercedes. He's off in the grass. Oh my goodness, the championship implications. I believe that was also Spencer Hewins. Jackson Resende has already escaped. No, he's not, but he's got a lot of right front damage.
Oh no, that's going to be terrible for the championship. He's definitely going to have to come into the pits, and that's going to be essentially race over. It looks like we still have a bit of carnage, I'd say, as a Lamborghini of Tyler Campbell has unfortunately spun out on the very next corner. So, I mean, what a hectic start of a race we had for the GT3 finale.
And that is not good for Spencer Hewins or Jackson Resende, of course, two of the main competitors in each of our championship battles. This is great for Matthew Dench. This is almost a championship lock for the driver of the 283. He moves well ahead of the entire field now as Fabio Zamperlini leads Scott Reiser down to the hairpin, the Melbourne hairpin. Let's take a look back before they complete this first lap. Let's take a look back at what's just gone on lap number 1. This is exiting the final corner, exiting Goddard's. This is going to be for the green flag. It's a relatively calm start, relatively calm run down to Redgate. But what happens after this, JP? Let's follow along specifically with, if we can find him here, Jackson Resende in that Mercedes. What goes wrong for him? He's behind the side-by-side of Zamperlini and Reister. Does he potentially... Oh, he makes contact with Reister there. More contact. Goes for a spin. Oh, and he collects Hewins.
Yeah, that was just a sequence of essentially unfortunate events, and that has culminated. It looks like that BMW went off way later. But yeah, just trying to go around the outside, and unfortunately, I guess not enough grip. The Lamborghini unfortunately just loses itself. Kind of like what we see from the Audi normally, or the McLaren. So just a tricky car still on this race, but definitely one of the fastest since we had a front row lockout. But, I mean, as you mentioned, the championship implications of that small spin are going to be massive.
What a start to round 8. That's going to simplify things in the pro category. Matthew Dench has almost no competition at this point. And if you're Fabio Zamperlini, I mean, what can you even do to help out your teammate at this point? The Kanani Esports driver of Jackson Resende, there is almost no coming back from that as far as a race win goes. And realistically, he needs to win the race. It's going to be a lot to ask to have, you know, My brain stopped. It's a lot to ask already to have Matthew Dench not win this race, JP. It's a lot more to ask to have him finish far enough back that Jackson Resende even could have put the points together with a win to win this championship. I think it's entirely too much to ask to come back from the rear on a lap 1 spin and contact and damage. More contact there in Goddard's with William Valdez. Come back through the field, beat Matthew Dench, and have Matthew Dench fall far enough back in this order in order to win the championship. I don't see a timeline where this happens, but you know what? Who knows what's going to happen? I know the new Marvel series just came out called What If. Maybe, just maybe it happens.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we can never count on it. I mean, we saw some massive championships. It looks like we have, unfortunately, another spinner out of turn 1. That's going to be Sean Pedersen. I know Rob Rodriguez maybe has spun out. But yeah, it's going to be nearly impossible. We can never say it's going to be impossible. The race only ends after the checkered flag, but I mean, it's definitely going to be hard. And well, his teammate has to do everything that he can. He has to try to catch up Matthew Dench and probably pass him, but, you know, just going to have to wait and see what the race pace of Fabio Zamperlini is, as we're going to take a look at what happened to Rob Rodriguez out of turn 1.
Yeah, this is turn 1, turn 2, that area right around Redgate and the exit down to turn 2. So he's following, it looks like, is that Bruno Alcaraz? It is in the 144. He's just ahead of the 122 of the 112 of Federico Tamayo. Catches the grass, goes for a spin, like you mentioned, out of turn number 1. Very cut and dry spin out of Redgate for the driver of the 125 out of New York. Matthew Dench has just gone purple up at the front of the field, and JP, it's looking even worse. If it wasn't already bad enough for Jackson Resende, it's looking a whole lot worse. Matthew Dench is on a ripper.
Yeah, exactly. He has just been putting qualifying laps, essentially after qualifying laps. Looks like Reiser has gone a bit quicker. And Zamperlini is 1.2, 1.3 seconds. If he can keep up the pressure, you never know. Matthew Dench has not yet made a mistake, I'm pretty sure, during the races under pressure. So I'm pretty sure the finale won't be one of them. But yeah, it's going to be nearly impossible. And Matthew only has to control the pace. He doesn't need to win. He doesn't need to take any risks. And well, if he can just keep his head down and just keep the composure, he'll definitely be looking strong, as Jackson Resende is still in 18th place. And I've noticed that he hasn't come into the pits. So probably waiting just to do one stop and take the pass repair there and try and make what he can with the damaged car.
Yeah, Jackson Resende, just, I don't know how he gets back through this field. It's a lot like Zamperlini back at Interlagos, or not Zamperlini, who was it that had the issue back at Interlagos? You know, I said it earlier. I said Zamperlini won Interlagos. No, that was Jose Morado Manriquez. You were right earlier when you said Zamperlini won Canadian Tire, because it was Fabio Zamperlini that went flipping at Interlagos, and obviously at that point, no way to come back from that. Resende's deal not quite as bad, but still not great, as we're watching a battle for the 4th position on the racetrack. Jose Antonio Ramos Lopez defending from the Lamborghini of Bryce Rodriguez, and I've started to put things together. I believe Bryce Rodriguez and Murad Rodriguez Jr. may be related. They're both Rodriguez's, and they're both out of New York, and they're both in the North American Racing League. I dare say there's something there, but also who knows, as it is a relatively common name, Rodriguez. Some more battles through the field here, JP, one of them for 7th.
Yeah, exactly. This is going to be, I mean, what we're used to in this league, you know, it's battle throughout the fields. We just had cut from another one to this one. Bruno Alcaraz chasing Barnett, both in the same car in the BMW, but you can see just, you know, confidence levels throughout some corners are just, you know, just going to differ. As you can see, a few different lines taken, you know, a few mistakes later apexes, earlier apexes, and well, this is going to be the nature. Now the question is, same setups, what will the slipstream effect be as they come down into the back straight? Will it be enough? Probably not. But the chicane is such an easy corner to make a mistake, and it's such a great corner to apply pressure. So it's going to be interesting to see if anyone goes for a move, because as you can see, just so fast, you kind of have to cut it, but you know, not cut enough to not get a slowdown.
You mentioned the same setups. These drivers are all on fixed setups for each of these cars. And the big thing I think that you've got to look for in any battle in this series is going to have to be car differences. When you've got 2 BMWs battling, one of them with damage, it's going to be really hard if you're Bruno Alcaraz in the situation to go up there and try and pass Micah Barnett. The good news for Alcaraz is he is currently leading the AM category by quite a lot with Spencer Hewen's spin on lap 1. That puts Spencer Hewins back in the, let's look for him, the 25th position here, JP. This is the other championship battle that's suddenly blown wide open. I don't know that Spencer Hewins can even go back to the field and try and defend this championship. He's won 4 races in a row, sure, but now he's way back here again, and he's way behind Blake Scott.
Yeah, he's quite a far ways behind, but, you know, it's the same deal with Resende. Although he's further back, looks like Lamborghini is going around the outside, similar to what we saw from Jackson Resende, but looks like he made it stick. Look at that on the Lamborghini. Looks like he's coming down the inside of turn 4, looks like it. And I mean, this is what I love about Donington. You go down the inside, you're going to get a switchback, and Jackson Resende is ready to take advantage of this battle. Will he look down the inside? No, not quite, but that Mercedes is looking racy, even with all that damage.
Yeah, Resende should come back through the field, and I'd imagine a top 10 is certainly, at this point, a win for him, as Mark Scott's going to go around one of the better drivers lately in the M category with a spin there in turn 8. These Lamborghinis, sure, they can be a bit faster when you push them, but it's pretty clear at this point they're making a lot of mistakes, these Lamborghini drivers today, and they are going to be hard to handle.
Yeah, exactly. This is the nature of some of these cars. Obviously, the Lamborghini shares the same chassis with the Audi, and we all know how kind of difficult the Audi is sometimes.
No.
Same as Mark unfortunately goes for a second spin, and looks like he unfortunately has towed back to the pit lane.
Unfortunately for Mark Scott, I think he's calling it a day, and I actually don't see Blake Scott in the running order, so this really changes things up in a weird way for the amateur championship, potentially, as Joshua Benjamin may be in a position to come from behind to get the championship lead back away. He's led all the way up until this week, or I guess up until last week, where he lost the lead to Spencer Hewins with Spencer's big win at Red Bull Ring. Now, Joshua Benjamin back in a prime opportunity to try and take this lead back. This could be really big for the driver of the 178.
Yeah, exactly, and not only for the Drivers' Championship, we talked about pre-race, about the constructors as well. And I'm pretty sure Scott Racing was leading, and we don't see any Scotts in the field. That's definitely going to hurt him, because the difference was only 4 points. So there'd be a big swing, and maybe the championship lost on the final race.
A really good point. Really good point. There's a lot, I think, that a lot of these drivers have to consider moving forward. A lot of problems throughout the board.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, we're only 10 minutes in the race. Barely 10 minutes in, and look at how much has happened, and I'm pretty sure it's only going to get better and better throughout, because the drivers will be taking more risks, especially if they're close to winning the championship, or, you know, just for, I guess, bragging rights. You always want to finish higher up, and look at it. We do have 3 battles, looks like, on the same shot, as the leaders are now kind of getting close, so Looks like Zamperlini is closing the gap to Matthew Dench, and this is going to be an interesting one to see, because I'm pretty sure we haven't seen these two battling directly so far in this league.
Just under 40 minutes to go. Fabio Zamperlini chasing down Matthew Dench. Scott Reister's a little further behind these guys, but this is starting to narrow. You called it out. This battle is starting to narrow at the front of the field. I think Zamperlini could be within striking distance here soon, before pit stops potentially, if this climb continues. But obviously, as we've talked about, the car differences, there is no difference between these two leaders. Both of these leaders, Dench and Zamperlini, opting for the Lamborghini this week. That's going to change things up. That's going to make it more difficult for Zamperlini to try and mount a pass. And I think any point in time that you have two different cars, it becomes a lot easier to pass when you're on these fixed setups. Open setups, it depends, but fixed setups, certainly, it helps a lot to have a different car, because obviously each car is going to have to take the corner a little bit differently or handle the corner a little bit differently. So those strengths and weaknesses are easier to obviously capitalize on.
Yeah, exactly. This is going to be, as we've seen throughout the season, it's going to be a mountain of a challenge to overtake essentially the same car, especially when you have similar paces. On qualifying, they were nearly 0.2 of a second apart from each other. And when you put on race fuel, obviously that's going to change a bit. You know, you might be a little bit faster, a little bit more confident, and obviously you might just reduce your mistakes, but it's still, I mean, it's the exact same machinery. It's all going to come down to the driver, to the confidence levels, and obviously raw pace.
This is a weird battle down the hill, down to the old hairpin, as it's called. 3 cars in a line. Scott Kimbrough bringing up the rear of the 3. It's Jose Antonio Ramos Lopez leading Bryce Rodriguez over Scott Kimbrough. And look at those two duking it out ahead. This is bringing the Audi that we have not seen much of this season, the Audi of Scott Kimbrough, into this battle.
It's going to be an amazing battle. Looks like they're kind of just holding up each other and just allowing the Audi to kind of just come into the battle. And we've seen this essentially happen, I guess, 2 weeks ago or last week. You know, 2 drivers battling, unfortunately taking each other out, and the third car just, you know, getting 2 free positions. This can happen, and look at just how much you get compromised by following your car into the fast chicane. And, I mean, look at it. Already going defensive. Will the Audi look down the outside? No. Looks like it. He tried to, but, you know, it's nearly impossible to overtake at that point in time, especially with the GT cars. But this is a 3-way battle that I'm really, really excited to keep looking at.
Oh, Kimbrough looked into Goddard's there. A little bit early, I think, to try and pass in that final corner. I think you might want to keep your cards a little closer to your chest. Goddard's is a weird corner, and I feel like a limited amount of passing attempts are going to work out there. It's just odd. It's a little bit off camber, and you got to kind of come up a hill in order to set yourself up for Goddard's. That's going to be an interesting one that we'll have to, of course, watch through the course of the race. Now, back over to the amateur standings, and the race currently being led by Bruno Alcaraz. In those amateur standings, if we look at the point totals, we can bring this back up actually as well, and show you what we're talking about here. Spencer Hewins had 7 points to Blake Scott. Neither of those drivers, well, one of those drivers isn't here. The other driver is way back in the field, currently in the 21st position, almost a lap down. If you're Joshua Benjamin, you are now in the, let's look for it, 12th position. I think that's enough points to certainly put you over, I got to look for him again, Spencer Hewins. Enough to put you ahead of him, as I think Spencer's actually now in 22nd. This could be a dream scenario. The only thing you got to do at this point, JP, is keep yourself in the front. Keep yourself as far in front as you can. Make no mistakes. You don't have to go and execute, and it looks like he's going to have Jackson ascending behind him soon. If you have to let Jackson go, that's fine. But don't let anybody else go. Don't make mistakes. Just ride. Ride the race out. 35 minutes, and you have a championship.
Yeah, exactly. He has to pick his battle, essentially, as you mentioned. If Jackson Resendiz shows up to be quicker, which looks like he is, you know, just let him by, you know, make sure you don't lose a lot of time and just follow him. You know, trying to learn where your weaknesses are, where your strengths are, and just improve on those weaknesses to try and find pace and essentially just keep following a faster driver. That might help you get some pre-positions later on, and it might help with just fuel mileage. So you kind of just have to be smart. You know, you don't need to battle each and every single battle that comes out on track. You just have to be smart about it, and that's where racecraft and experience will come. So there's going to be a question of how, I guess, determined you are to essentially give out a free position in order to gain maybe a P1 later down the race. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does, and, well, I'm excited to see.
Well, if we didn't have enough twists and turns to this championship battle, JP, Matthew Dench is out of the race.
Yeah, I was just looking at the timing,
It's a connection issue. He has dropped out of the race.
Well,
from the worst
board.
day ever for Jackson Resende to potentially a layup championship. Are you kidding me? This turns things on its head. If we look in that category, it's a 16-point gap for Fabio and for Scott to make up to win this championship. That is, of course, to Matthew Dench. It's only 11 points, Jackson Resende. Without Matthew Dench in here, Resende now really has to go up there and pass Joshua Benjamin and a few more. This becomes a lot more doable. I mean, we're not going to know who wins this championship now. It was a layup for Matthew Dench before. Now, it's anybody's guess as to what happens here. If Jackson Resende continues his tear through the field, I think he might put just enough points on the board to hold on to this championship. But if he has any other issues, suddenly his teammate, Fabio Zamperlini, might win.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, at this point, you just have to turn on qualifying mode, attack mode, go at 110%. Obviously, don't make any mistakes, as you mentioned. Another mistake could end his race, just sitting at the pit lane for maybe 2-3 minutes, as long as it takes to tow. It could cost you a lap or two, and, well, that's going to be championship over. So you have to really turn on attacking mode and just make sure you hit your marks, everything, and just pick the best race, because right now, this is your chance. I mean, this is essentially, as you mentioned, a layup championship. So it's going to be interesting to see how much he attacks, and right now I'm pretty sure he's going to be putting caution into the wind, essentially.
Well, Jackson Resende, I don't think is going to be entirely out of the woods. He's got Tyler Campbell close behind in a Lamborghini. Now, he's had to go, actually, I think Tyler Campbell's been gaining on Resende this entire run and actually following him through a lot of this traffic. So this Lamborghini of Campbell might have something for the Mercedes ahead. That would be an interesting twist to all of this. That said, Tyler Campbell may well sit back and not play a part of this in the race pace Lamborghini. So obviously, no way to know exactly how this is all going to go down. The only thing any of us could do is continue to keep watching. 32 minutes left on the board. Big thank you to all of our partners here at PitStopTV, Tucson Sound Art, Race Pace Setups, Permanent Makeup at Crime with Maine, Whiplash Media, and BAM Racing Videos. Let's go ahead and go side by side, take a quick break. You won't miss a thing.
Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
On this edition of Cars Tour Would You Rather, do you prefer syrup or sprinkles on your ice cream?
Sprinkles. I'm a calories guy, so syrup too many calories. Try to stay healthy.
Sprinkles mixed into some chocolate and good berries that's where it's at.
Sprinkles, definitely sprinkles. I've never really had syrup on my ice cream.
Sprinkles. I don't know, sprinkles. Colorfulness, I like it.
Oh, definitely sprinkles. Syrup's way too sweet.
Syrup for sure.
Syrup.
Syrup for sure. Sprinkles don't have flavor, they're just crunchy.
I'd rather have sprinkles, have a little bit of texture to it.
Sprinkles. I'm not a syrup person. I don't like caramel or chocolate, I guess.
Chocolate syrup, yes. Tastes better. I'm not a sweets person, so I don't do sprinkles or syrup.
Boy, how the turns table. I think that's a pretty good way to put this so far. You just saw a fantastic battle with Bryce Rodriguez and Jose Antonio Ramos Lopez and Scott Kimbrough, who is just pitted, but these two continue to battle, JP. This was a lot of fun to watch in that side-by-side as Bryce Rodriguez still looking for a way by.
Yeah, he's definitely looking very, very racy. He's definitely taking risks with that Lamborghini. We saw how twitchy that car can be and how quickly it can snap, but he definitely has absolutely no fear on it. He just has absolute confidence, and look how close he is coming to the back straight. Could we see a move coming into the hairpin, into the chicane? I do apologize. He is close, but not close enough. That chicane is nearly impossible to make a move on, and he has to kind of back off just to get essentially his marks back on it. But we've seen him trying to make a move around the outside, in the inside, everywhere, and he definitely wants that position.
Yeah, Bryce Rodriguez is there, and he wants a podium pretty badly. That would promote him into the third position if he can make the move, as they now run in front of Bruno Alcaraz by about 12 seconds. Bruno way back there in comparison, but he's got a pretty good lead over second place in amateur in Federico Tamayo. Now, if you're wondering about Jackson Resende, I'm looking through the order. He has already taken his pit stop here, JP. He has dropped all the way back down to 19th now. This is an interesting move, and I like the move. Obviously, get that fast repair a little bit quicker as soon as he got into the fuel window, and it's saving time compared to pitting way earlier in the race and taking the fast repair potentially and getting off of fuel cycle. So a good move, I think, from Jackson, as Bryce Rodriguez has finally taken that spot for third. So big move there for the Lamborghini, but Jackson Resende now going to begin his climb with the undercut.
Yeah, exactly. He has done, honestly, as you mentioned, as soon as the pit window opened, as soon as the fuel window opened for him, he just came into the pits, took the fast repair. Now he has a brand new car again, essentially the car that he had for at least 2 corners on lap 1, and now he's ready to attack again. So we should be seeing even faster Jackson Resende at this time. Obviously, he's going to be a little bit heavier than all of his competitors until the pit window essentially clears everyone out. But, I mean, we're going to be seeing some fast lap times and some pretty amazing overtakes there, I say.
Sean Patterson also coming into the pit lane. He will bring the number 154 Lamborghini to the attention of his virtual crew, and will take a tank of fuel. Likely not a full tank. These drivers tend to mix around with exactly how much they take, of course, to benefit their strategy. Is Bryce Rodriguez, a sharp left turn into the pit lane, and he'll come down for service. You can hear the pit lane beeper, if you will, pit lane alarm coming on with these drivers coming to the pit lane. He will give up the spot, let Jose Antonio Ramos Lopez go on by. Bruno Alcaraz now, as well as Micah Barnett, rather. And these two drivers, they've been very close to each other since the drop of the green flag here, JP. Micah Barnett would really benefit his team, Scuderia Chicken House, if he can get up there and pass Bruno and get that extra point.
Yeah, it definitely would help out in the championship, even his personal standings, the Drivers' Championship. Obviously, you want as many points as possible. But, I mean, Alcaraz is doing a fantastic job so far. Up in 4th place, obviously the fuel window, the pit stops have not yet completely cycled. But, I mean, he's doing a fantastic race. He has a healthy gap, at least for the time being. to the next amateur driver, and well, he's doing a fantastic race, and that's something we've seen, you know, throughout the season. Some amateur driver just somehow, and not somehow, but you know, each and every single week, someone just excels and just puts on a great show and is able to essentially outperform everybody. And this week looks like it's Alcaraz.
And oftentimes it's been Jose Moreno Enriquez or Blake Scott or Spencer Hewins. You can throw Joshua Benjamin in there as well, I believe, with his round win back at the season opener. But since then, it's been mostly Spencer Hewins, with a couple of interruptions there by, again, Jose Moreno Enriquez, who was great at Interlagos. And now it seems like the changing of the guard potentially for the 144, Bruno Alcaraz, moving up a few positions and is looking really, really good so far for Callus Latin Gamers. And they're another team that needs a lot of points in this final round.
Yeah, exactly. And if he keeps it up, I mean, they're going to be scoring a hell of a lot of points, at least for the time being. Because, I mean, if you get a win, now he's up into third place overall, still, you know, the pit window, the fuel cycle, all that sort of stuff. As we do have another few drivers, looks like Jose Antonio Ramos Lopez comes into the pit. And, well, this is going to be a great haul of points for him and his team now. Just going to be a question, is it enough to move them up into the championship standings or not?
As far as championship standings, again, the battle is really going to come down to, at least in the Pro Championship, it's going to come down to Fabio Zamperlini and Jackson Resende and Scott Reister. A couple of Kanani Esports teammates and one out of Team Empire and NARL Racing, I believe. There are a couple of different affiliations there for Scott Reister running in the second spot today. But for the most part, it is the two Kanani Esports drivers, unless Scott Reister can get up there and challenge Fabio Zamperlini. And the hope for Scott at this point has got to be to take a little bit less time in the pit lane, be that through fuel or just execution. I don't know which, but there's really not a whole lot you can do as far as execution of the pit lane. This is one of the shorter pit entries and exits in iRacing, especially on the roadside. And in this championship, it's like one of, if not the shortest pit entry in the entire series.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen some drivers essentially extending their lead or cutting down the lead, but I'm not pretty sure if someone has done that to nearly 3 seconds to the leader or essentially the car ahead. So, I mean, and when you add in, as you mentioned, Andrew, one of the shortest, if not the shortest pit lane throughout the season, I mean, that's essentially impossible. You know, he pretty much has not to fuel at all. But, you know, it's just going to be coming down to race pace and on-track performance, as we do have, looks like right now, quite a crowded pit lane, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot of drivers coming in. Tyler Campbell among the bunch, as well as, I got to count here, Bruno Alcaraz, Jose Antonio Ramos Lopez, Jose Antonio Ramos, Armando Bejaran, John Sedlak, Rob Rodriguez Jr., William Valdez. The list goes on and on. This is pretty much most of these drivers' last moment to go ahead and pit. But the top three continue to be drivers who have not pitted. I apologize for a lot of the sound there in the background. My cat Rocket decided to be a rocket and go climbing up the desk, but we move on. Fabio Zamperlini is still leading the way here, JP, and we could expect these two to come in this lap. Otherwise, the next lap has to be the cutoff, and here we go. Fabio comes in. What does Scott Reister do? He comes in. What does Micah Barnett do? We'll find out.
Yeah, Michael Barnett, unfortunately, quite a few ways back, 17 seconds to the leader. This is going to be a question if he can essentially come into the pit lane before Fabio Zamperlini exits. But, you know, the 20-minute mark, essentially the cutoff that we have seen throughout the season. Zamperlini is probably going to retain his lead. And, yeah, Michael Barnett comes down into the pit lane. Now, the question is, can he retain the third spot or will he drop down? Obviously, not retain the third spot, essentially, but will he lose any positions by doing the overcut or will he retain? It's going to be an interesting challenge there. We have seen throughout the season, it's not 100% guaranteed that the undercut or overcut will work.
Here we go, pit exit now for these drivers ahead, and you can see Scott Reister gains a little bit of time, but it's negligible at best. Really doesn't gain much out of the pit stop, and it's going to be 2.5 seconds that he has got to make up on Fabio Zamperlini, potentially more once these drivers get back up to speed. Scott Kimbrough cycles back into third spot. You can see his Audi behind these drivers now in the number 211, the pink, black, blue, white, silver. Love that livery that he's transferred over to a few different cars now. He's ahead of Bryce Rodriguez in this top 5, so this would, well, he is now 4th. So that battle earlier was for 4th. He's got a ways to go for the podium. And Jose Antonio Ramos Lopez, he rounds out your top 5. Bruno Alcaraz still leads in amateur competition. Here he is in his number 144 BMW M4.
Yeah, he is doing a fantastic race, still holding off Micah Barnett, who just came into the pit lane, so he's probably going to have a bit warmer tires, just going to be used to the heavier car due to the fuel load, and should keep out his lead so far. Looks like he has a 7-second gap to the second place in the amateur class, so yet again, as we mentioned, a fantastic race for him, and I mean, healthy gap essentially just being the outstanding performer in the amateur class, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's got some 7.5 seconds back to Federico Tamayo for the second. Well, Federico runs in second position in the amateur category. Bruno Alcaraz is nailing this race so far in first by quite a distance. The next driver, the next competitor in amateur competition is going to be Jose Antonio Ramos, who's under fire from John Sedlak. A little bit of contact there from the JS Consulting, number 203. And here comes Tyler Campbell filling the void. They're going to battle down to Goddard's.
It's going to be interesting to see if the Lamborghini can hold around the outside. Cannot. Maybe the switchback. Yeah, that'll definitely work, as you can see better traction. Unfortunately, looks like he had to yield a bit of the throttle. And looks like John Sadler is going to give him the inside lane. That's probably going to cost him a position, at least down into turn 1. That Porsche is going to be yielding the position, is he? Looks like he's going to be battling it out. That Lamborghini closes the door quite aggressively. And yeah, he retains the position, as it looks like the Porsche got a bit out of hand and out of line. And unfortunately, throughout turns 3 and 4, you have to have the perfect line, otherwise you might struggle with all the elevation changes and the compression, essentially, that the suspension does. So a smart move, but unfortunately it cost him at a position.
Well, that move was set up way back in Goddard's by Tyler Campbell. He got the crossover, the switchback, if you will, and, well, he was going to take the left side. He was going to take the outside of the turn 1 red gate when John Zedlank seemingly moved over, protected that line, and gave the inside to Tyler Campbell. Now, if that was an intentional let go, then okay, but otherwise, that was a pretty bad move, one that John will learn from, certainly. And that's where Tyler Campbell being very calm, relaxed, and just reliable, I think, in those situations, pays dividends. John Sedlak, I think that's one that he learns from as best as he can. Potentially just got schooled right there on lap 22 of 35. These drivers are projected to go for 35 total laps. We are on the 23rd lap now, as here's one of the few Ferraris, and the last time, JP, likely that we ever see this particular Ferrari 488 on PitStopTV.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be essentially sad to see it go. Quite a big car in that racing, I'd say. We had the Ferrari fixed for many, many seasons. The one that I started, GT3 racing, so it's going to be just sad to see it go. It's a fantastic looking car, has an amazing sound to it, and yeah, unfortunately, it's going to be dropped out. Still looks amazing, though. It's going to be a sad retirement for it.
Well, while it's getting retired, technically, of course, the Ferrari 488 Evo is taking its place. The newer version of the exact same car looks pretty darn similar, sounds pretty darn similar, handles pretty darn similar, but it's a bit newer, looks that little bit newer, and Ferrari, of course, got it into the iRacing.com sim. Cannot wait for it to debut in NARL Cash Days at Long Beach on September 25th. And, of course, while signups may be closed, you can certainly come back here. PitStopTV will have coverage of Cash Days at Long Beach on the 25th. A battle now down to the chicane. Oh, side by side. That's a ballsy place to pass. But Tyler Campbell makes it work over Jose Antonio Ramos for 9th.
Yeah, that was an amazing move. Very, very brave to go down the inside, essentially at the last moment. Very, very clean for Ramos, and that's going to allow John Sedlak to close once again. Now, the Lamborghini of Tyler Campbell is doing an amazing job. He went past Sedlak, now went past Ramos. He's definitely going to be on the chase for Federico Tamayo up ahead, so he's doing kind of a comeback race, essentially. And, well, he's been executing those overtakes in English really, really well, I'm going to say that. And, yeah, I mean, another driver that's coming back throughout the field is this one, Jackson Rezende. It looks like right now he's in 13th spot, and if the driver's ahead of him, he'll keep on battling. He's going to be closing that gap in no time.
It's 3 seconds up to Carlo Graz, and Carlo's looking pretty stout today. The last lap time for these drivers, while Carlo Graz was a little bit slower, it may not be enough for Jackson Rosende to make up the over 3 second gap to get up to him. It's only a tenth here or there. It seems like, well, actually, no, it's a little bit more, about 7/10 the last lap. So maybe it is enough for Jackson Rosende to climb back after all, but that's only to the 12th position, and likely he's got to get up into the top 10 to nullify any gains that his teammate Fabio Zamperlini makes. So we came into this race expecting only 2 potential champions, Matthew Dench or Jackson Rosende. Suddenly, it's looking like Fabio Zamperlini may take it, and Scott Reister may even follow through for second. We don't know quite yet. Of course, we'll do our best post-race to make sure you guys stay updated and make sure you know exactly who wins this championship. But JP, you may be talking to the other Brazilian after this race as far as the championship goes.
And what an upset would it be, right? I mean, you're Fabio Zamperlini, you're coming into third. Just 16 points behind your teammate. No, 11 points behind your teammate, 16 points behind the leader. And all of a sudden, your main rival, your teammate, just falls out on lap 1, and then a few laps later, the leader of the race and leader of the championship just disconnects. So everything just comes down perfectly in your hands. So if he wins this championship, I mean, it would be amazing. And I would love to be a spy on their Discord channel, their team channel, just to see the reactions whenever everything happened. But unfortunately, we won't be able to tell what happened, but I'm pretty sure he's going to be excited no matter what, having this win essentially handed out to him.
Don't count your chickens too quickly here. Scott Reister is closing. Now under 2 seconds of a gap. Now it's moving around a little bit with the corners, the ebb and flow, of course, but as these two drivers pass William Valdez, Scott Reister is about as close as he's been to Fabio Zamperlini since the start of this race. The drop of the green flag. Could you imagine if Scott Reister comes from behind and wins this championship? Boy, oh boy, this is going to be one heck of a battle. And look at that, up on 2 wheels momentarily for the Lamborghini of Fabio Zamperlini. That's the kind of stuff that can be a little bit faster, but I don't think he should mess with right now. You've got over 1.5 seconds, only 12 minutes to go. You've got to execute the most clean laps you potentially possibly can. The best laps, 0 X's. You've got to just keep this car on the racetrack. And I think as long as you do that, you stay ahead of Scott Reister. As soon as you start to push things and break the track limits a little bit, get onto the dirt just a little bit, you open the window to potentially Scott Reister being able to drive up. Now, be that through a mistake or just, I don't know exactly. Well, we'll find out. But Scott Reister, I think, is licking his chops seeing Fabio Zamperlini still pushing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Fabio, essentially what he has to do is just be smooth, be smooth, be fast. Stop looking at the gap. Obviously, that can, put you under certain pressure, knowing you're losing a bit of time. That gap was nearly 3 seconds at one point in time. Now it's down to 1.5. So the Mercedes looks like it's much, much better, at least on older tires than the Lamborghini, at least for the time being. Or maybe Reister just has found essentially a magic plan throughout some corner that he's just gaining time. But Zamperlini has to keep his focus, just keep looking forward and just, keep hitting his marks. As you mentioned, he has less than 12 minutes to go right now. And, well, I mean, it's getting closer and closer. Ben, maybe Reister, I mean, they're tied on points, so the championship could be coming down to the last 10 minutes of the race.
Looking at the points in the amateur category as well, JP, we don't know what's going to happen exactly. Bruno Alcaraz could win this championship still. I was just looking through the standings, and it is very possible that he wins this title. He comes in this evening also 16 points back of the leader, Spencer Hewins, deep within the field. That's going to be tough for Spencer to defend from. Spencer currently running in the 16th spot. I mean, it's going to be close. Bruno Alcaraz has about 10 positions. Maybe that's 10 points. So maybe it's not quite a done deal for Bruno just yet, but he's well ahead of Joshua Benjamin, who has lost any advantage he had by the issues for Spencer Hewins. Joshua Benjamin is mired back in 21st. Suddenly, this is either Spencer Hewins or Bruno Alcaraz, and it's going to take a lot more, I think, for Bruno to get it, but he should certainly move up into the second position in the championship fight, and what a day this has been for Bruno. We've talked about it before. These amateur drivers, they come in, and sometimes they just have these breakout days, and it often rotates who's good and who's not. Today, it's all Bruno Alcaraz. He may not win the championship, but likely a win on the way, and darn close to the championship, certainly.
And I mean, what a point, what a day it is for you to be 16 points behind the championship leader, because we have Reister and Zamperlini both at 16 points behind with a chance of snatching the championship. We do have Bruno Alcaraz also 16 points behind. So if 16 is your lucky number, please go play the lottery, because you might just as well win, because tonight it looks like it is the night for that number. And yeah, he's doing a fantastic job, and well, 10 minutes to go to see the result, and I mean, you never know, he might just snatch it. I'm not quite sure what the calculations will be after the race, but I'm pretty sure we're going to get it as soon as the race is over.
It's going to be close. It's going to be very close, especially when you're Jackson Rosende and have closed in on Carl Graz, one of the lone Ferraris, if not the lone Ferrari in the field today. This would be for 12th. If Jackson can make the move and can take the position, this is for the 12th spot. This makes it about an 11-point gap from Fabio Zamperlini down to Jackson Rosende, give or take a little bit. I don't recall the exact scoring rubric, but this is right in the window of potentially where Fabio Zamperlini may not actually get this over Jackson Rosende. It's getting closer and closer by the moment. The problem for Jackson, though, is he's got an extra 11 seconds up to John Sedlak. He would have to make up over a second a minute. That's running 59 seconds, basically, to every 60 that John Sedlak runs. That just isn't going to happen. This is about the end of the road for Jackson Rosende. He's going to get 12th. Unless there's an issue ahead, I don't see him going any further.
Yeah, exactly. This could be the last move that we see. Oh, looks like it's going to happen maybe sooner than we thought. And yeah, as you mentioned, 11 seconds is a massive gap as Jackson Rosende goes down the inside right before the back straight. Can the Ferrari keep up enough momentum on the outside? Looks like they're just going to be having a drag race. Now the question is, who will be braver as they come down into the chicane? Looks like the Ferrari is bravest and the Brazilian has to yield. But yeah, as you mentioned, it's going to be nearly impossible, at least on track pace, to catch up 11 seconds. But I mean, this looks like a handy battle for him, and looks like the Ferrari driver is not ready to give out the position just yet.
So it's not exactly 1 point per position. This is, I don't think Jackson Rosende is anywhere near winning this championship still. I think he's quite a ways back. I was just reviewing the scoring rubric, and I think he's still quite a ways out of where he needs to be in order to take this. It becomes a heads-up race between Fabio Zamperlini and Scott Reister right now. This is your battle for the championship, ladies and gents, watching the North American Racing League here on PitStopTV. This is it. In the amateur category, it could very well be all Bruno Alcaraz. So, throw everything from the last 5 minutes out the window, JP. We actually might be down to the winner of this race in each class wins the championship, and that was not at all the plan going into this race. We did not think in any way, shape, and form that Matthew Dench, Jackson Rosende, and Spencer Hewins would all have these massive, catastrophic issues.
No, not at all. And even if they had, I'm pretty sure we were not going to count on it. I'm pretty sure if you, me, and Trey made a bet on who's going to win the championship, I'm pretty sure we wouldn't mention Zamperlini, Reister, or maybe Alcaraz. You know, no offense, obviously, to any of them, but it just looked so far away, you know, at one point in time. But as we mentioned throughout the race, at least from the beginning, after we saw Jackson Rosende spinning out, the race is only over when it's over. And, I mean, Matthew Dench has been, I guess, the ultimate victim of it. It looked settled for him to win the championship, and unfortunately, a mistake out of his control took him out of the running, and now it's has handed it to the third driver. So it's just incredible to see what a few laps can do to the championship. And yeah, I mean, it's crazy, and I'm really excited to see what the last 6 minutes will bring out to the table.
Well, as we enter the final minutes from Donington Park, remember that RaceLab helps you to improve your driving skills. With modern overlays, race statistics, and native VR integration, you can get the best out of iRacing. Start using it now for free at racelab.app. That is racelab.app. JS Consulting provides custom website and app development, including iRacing League website design and hosting. Find JS Consulting at johnsedlak.com. John is currently running in the 11th position here at Donington today. Tam Liveries offers custom packages for some of the best livery designs in iRacing. Used by pros and amateurs alike, you will definitely look good on the track. Also keep in mind, of course, that Tucson Sound Art is a proud partner of PitStopTV. You provide the image you want and they will custom create a beautiful framed high-quality canvas with a built-in Bluetooth speaker. With Sound Art, you get the best of both worlds. Visit TucsonSoundArt.com for additional information. Use promo code PitStopTV at checkout and receive 10% off of your purchase today. Ever wish you could have a race engineer on speed dial? Well, now you can, thanks to Race Pace, a driver development service and setup shop all in one. Work with Tyler Campbell, a real-world race engineer, to step up your game before your next race. Pick up pace with Race Pace. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money could buy, and that's exactly what Ashley Bollier and her team of professionals are out to do for you. They want to make you look good at the right price. Check out PermanentMakeupInMaine.com for more information. Some battles heading down to the Melbourne Hairpin. It's all behind Fabio Zamperlini and Scott Reister. In fact, Matthew Dench is currently hounding Scott Reister for that second spot. Granted, Matthew Dench is 8 laps down, so this is not a battle for position, but we'll continue to watch it. As I mentioned to you, of course, that Whiplash Media specializes in various sim racing resources, including paint schemes, stream overlays, iRacing camera packs, and more. The official graphic and camera provider of PitStopTV, you can grab your iBroadcast cameras today at PitStopTV.com. Let's also not forget the BAM Racing videos as by a race fan for the racing community. JP, 4 minutes to go. Hounding, certainly, is Matthew Dench on Scott Reister, and this is for all the beans. A second and a half separate the pro leaders. Bruno Alcaraz is out to lunch in the amateur category, and it just might be the winner of each class that wins the championship.
Yeah, exactly. I'm pretty sure Matthew Dench is just coming out to get at least 1 point, at least a few points, to not get any instant points. You know, we've seen how Fabio Zamperlini was happy on his win to get absolutely no instant points at Canadian Tire, so it could be a last-ditch effort to try and get that championship, essentially take away points from Fabio. So it could be very, very interesting to see if that any difference whatsoever. But if it doesn't, I mean, 1.9 seconds looks like 1.8 with 3 minutes to go, and essentially, I mean, Scott Reiser has to go for it, hasn't he? He needs to put two perfect qualifying laps, essentially, to get that gap settled down to less than a second to try and apply any pressure to Fabio. But, I mean, at this point in time, it looks pretty settled, doesn't it?
It looks very settled right now. Fabio Zamperlini almost 2 seconds back to Scott Reister, and that gap has started to open back up. It seems like the Lamborghini has been saving a little bit over the Mercedes. If you're wondering about your favorite driver potentially, make sure to, of course, watch the ticker on the left side of the screen, but I can tell you, back in the back, bringing up the rear is Mark Scott in the 166. Billy Bowerman should finish 26th. Jose Morado Enriquez let us know that he had an internet issue, an internet failure that took him out of this race. He will finish 25th. 13 laps down currently. That'll add a couple of more before the race is done. Rob Rodriguez Jr. also having problems earlier on in this race. He is also 13 laps down. Matthew Dench has re-entered the race. He now sits in 23rd behind the race leaders. William Coffey is in 22nd. He's had some problems and is 3 laps down. Jackson Resende, oh my goodness, JP. He has stopped. He has had a crash. He is not going to win this championship. It is Fabio Zamperlini. I don't know how that one escaped me, but Jackson Resende is now 2 laps down and is dropping. Joshua Benjamin also 2 laps down. Boy, he's not going to win this championship either, is he? Sean Patterson runs in the 19th position. Clarence Rosa in 18th. Giuseppe Rivas in 17th. Excuse me. William Valdez in 16th. Carl Graz in 15th. I'm talking a lot, and my voice is not appreciating it.
I was just going to mention, as you recover a bit, you know, Jackson Resende, I was not identifying his name on the ticker, essentially within 11th or 12th place, and I was just searching for it, and then all of a sudden it came down 21st place, 2-3 laps down at this moment in time. So something big has happened, and that's going to be essentially championship over. So everything has come down perfectly for Fabio Zamperlini, even his teammate bad luck, I'd say. So, I mean, if he's celebrating right now, I mean, he has to at least keep a bit of composure, because I'm pretty sure it's only 2 laps to go at this moment in time. But, I mean, what an unlikely championship. If you bet on him, I mean, your odds are sky high, and you're going to be making some big money. But, I mean, no one expected this.
Don't worry, T-Squared. I immediately grabbed the water and took a big swig. So hopefully we're doing a little bit better for the back end of this race. Under 1 minute to go, JP. We should get the white flag presented by Tucson Sound Art next time past the flag stand. And, I mean, it's all Fabio Zamperlini. The gap is widening, continuing to widen over Scott Reister. It's up to over 2 seconds. In fact, almost 2 1/3 as we head down to the S's, otherwise known as the chicane, as we've been calling it. If you're looking further in the podium, though, Bryce Rodriguez is making his best case for 3rd position, and he is there. This is shaping up to be a fantastic battle on the last lap between a Lamborghini and an Audi. Oh!
Yeah,
Scott Kimbrough very sideways to apex.
Yeah, look at that Audi just essentially losing a bit of the grip. We've seen that maybe just a downshift, you know, just gone wrong. And that's something we see from the Audi and from the Lamborghini. And remember, they are essentially the same car under 2 different skins. So, I mean, it's going to be close. As you can see, the Lamborghini just behind you as we get the white flag for Fabio Zamperlini. The Lamborghini is going to be going down the inside. No, he is not. But look at the amount of pressure. This is going to be a fantastic white flag lap.
The white flag, presented by Tucson Soundart, is out at Donington. Watching the battle for third, Scott Kimbrough with a miracle of a blue, white, and red Lamborghini in Bryce Rodriguez out of New York in the number 299. Brand new to the series, second start so far, and is looking great. Cannot wait to see where his time goes here in the North American Racing League, but it's all Fabio Zamperlini. The final lap at Donington, he's got almost 2 seconds still back to Scott Reister, and for the Brazilian racing under the Canon Esports banner, it never ever looked like a championship season, but it always looked like a good season. Got a race win back at Mosport, plenty of podiums, plenty of top fives along the way, but it just never quite looked like it was going to be a championship kind of season for the 237 yet. Through all of his persistence, all of the attrition, and through 8 races, Fabio Zamperlini is headed down to Goddard's for the final time, and once he exits, he will exit a North American Racing League champion, the first to take top honors in NARL. It is Fabio Zamperlini with the win and the championship at Donington Park. Further back, it's all Bruno Alcaraz in the amateur category, JP. We don't know exactly how it's going to work out, but we believe he might win this championship.
Yeah, exactly. I'm pretty sure that thought is going throughout his head as he's actually turn 11 into turn 12. You know, he just has a few meters to go. And just like Fabio Zamperlini, I'm pretty sure he's going to be celebrating, at least coming down close to the pit lane. Yes, as you can see, celebrating, wiggling the car. He's happy. I'm pretty sure he's thinking the same way as we are. He probably won the amateur championship.
We don't know yet in the amateur category. I feel confident enough in Fabio Zamperlini, however, to call him the champion. It's a lot of positions back to either of his competitors in Matthew Dench in 23rd and Jackson Resende in 22nd. It is all but confirmed. Jackson Resende, Matthew Dench, they fall as Fabio Zamperlini rises up. Scott Reister will take second place in the race and in the title hunt. But it's all the Brazilian Fabio Zamperlini. What a season. From flipped over on lap 1 at Interlagos, his home track, to winning the championship some 4 races later. Thereabouts, what a season for this guy.
Yeah, exactly. As you mentioned, full of ups and downs. Unfortunately, that down at a home track, you know, it could have been a major turnoff for some drivers at your home track, just, you know, essentially losing it after lap 1 and then bouncing back a few rounds later. At Mosport, doing a fantastically perfect race, you know, just led every single lap, and then, you know, it's just been confidence building for him, you know, just race after race. He was there, you know, not on pace sometimes with his teammate or Matthew Dench, but always there, and then at Mosport, that fantastic win just kind of propelled him forward. And yeah, tonight, perfect qualifying. He essentially kept his gap in at point at the first few laps. He was actually bringing that gap down to Matthew Dench, and then after the disconnect, the internet issues, it was just a perfect race, no mistakes, just managing the gap, and it paid off really, really well.
And again, we don't know for sure, but we're just about ready to say, in fact, we're ready to say, certainly, that Fabio Zamperlini is your champion. We don't know exactly about the amateur category with Bruno Alcaraz winning this evening, but let's be honest, he's had a great season as well, a very consistent season. He's been here every week, I do believe. He's just run things nice and cleanly and has done what he has needed to do in order to win this. As far as Fabio Zamperlini goes, we've covered that story. Other battles in the amateur category, though, JP, it comes down to Spencer Hewins in 13th. He might be just close enough to still get this championship over Bruno Alcaraz. We don't know. It is very close between those two drivers, and it will come down to some scrutineering, if you will, some admin work, certainly, between those two.
Yeah, essentially we'll come down to the smallest of margins. Hopefully we can get that confirmed as soon as possible, because obviously everybody wants to celebrate, and we definitely want the results, because, I mean, it's going to be close no matter what, you know, to either party. And I mean, I just can't wait for the results, and hopefully we get them both confirmed shortly after the race.
Well, with round number 8 done and dusted, it's time to go ahead and take a break. We'll be right back with more coverage from Donington, post-race coverage, in fact, here on PitStopTV. Don't go anywhere. More talking points and interviews and results on the way from Donington for round 8 of the North American Racing League.
SoundArt introduces an entirely new way to listen to music in your home by combining the best of two products, a revolutionary high-fidelity, low-profile Bluetooth wireless speaker with beautiful artwork. Select from a library of artwork or upload your own photos to personalize your experience. SoundArt ushers in an era of invisible, beautiful, and amazing sound throughout your home and redefines your entire entertainment system. The need to reclaim your floor space and rid your home of unsightly speaker boxes that need to be bolted to the wall is now a thing of the past. Our canvas is printed on high-quality permalite by Breathing Color. And select from our gallery or upload your own. Standard sizes include 16 by 20 and 18 by 24 canvas wrapped. Custom sizing is available, as well as surround sound options.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
Just after the Ace race and right before Caraway, the Solid Rock Carriers Cars Tour made yet another visit to here at The Rock at Rockingham Speedway. The purpose? Yet another Hoosier tire test to try to determine the perfect construction and compound for the end-of-year event here at Rockingham. And after today's activities, the series, the tire manufacturer, and the drivers all seem to be happy with what they learned here at The Rock.
Tire test went really, really well. Hoosier, their engineers were here. The CEO of Hoosier was here. Brought us a lot of tires. We went through a lot of combinations, and I think we got a tire that'll put on a heck of a show here.
Rockingham is about like Darlington, you know, it's a one-off track. The surface is pretty abrasive and tough to make sure that you have plenty of tire wear. So we decided we'd come back down here and do a test with Riggs and with Peters, and had really good results today. I mean, we're very happy with the way everything went. Made long runs on the tires.
The tires we ran today, we ran a bunch of different compounds, and I'd say we had 6 or 7 different kinds of sets. The set Timothy is out there on right now, I was pretty happy with. I feel like it was a pretty good tire that consistently fell off, came in, and it had some wear there at the end like it should. We ran about 35, 40 laps on them, and they held up a lot better than I was expecting, and I was happy to see what I saw.
And it's going to be your typical Rockingham, where I think in a 25-lap run we fell off a second, you know, so that fall off is great. I think it produces great racing. You got to have fall off, and it's going to be, I think you'll have different packs, you know, but I think it puts it back in the hands of the drivers, and who doesn't love slipping and sliding? I know this guy does.
By the time we finished today, Bo said, we can race this tire. We can race this tire. And that was enough for me right there.
They had really good feedback about how the cars drove through the corner. And if you take a look at the track compared to when we first got here this morning, the track started rubbering in. You started getting rubber in it, so the tire wear got easier. And the way they drove it was really good and very little fall off. So they give really good feedback, and we're really happy with today.
I think they've selected a really good tire to come back. It can withstand the load. It doesn't tear or like we had in the problems in December. So Hoosier and Irish has done a great job. It's hammer down for a couple of laps, get all you can, and then it's up to you to start saving and make it towards the end. But it's just so much fun.
Before it was kind of a light switch, you'd be good, then all of a sudden you just fall on your face with speed. This time it was more of a gradual fall, and as a driver that feels a lot more consistent and better and more comfortable.
We've made the decision we are going to run 100 laps, and it's going to be an 8-tire race. We are not going to mandate when they change their tires. So they're going to come here and they're going to practice and they're going to test and they're going to figure it out for themselves. We don't do that. But they're going to have 4 tires in their pit that they can use and under cautions, and we're going to run the controlled cautions. So there's no live pit stops, no need for that. They'll have plenty of time to change their tires, make some adjustments, and do whatever they need to do and maintain their track position.
I'm looking forward to it. I know it's going to be fast track, and right there on that long run, I feel like I was kind of in a groove, getting in that race groove and having to back my corners up and slow down and starting to move around the track a little bit. So hopefully multiple lanes will come in and we'll be good race.
I just want everybody to know that there's as good of vibes today as there was bad 3 or 4 months ago.
And there you have it. Everybody tickled pink with what they learned here today at Rockingham Speedway. The manufacturer, the drivers, the series, everybody is excited about what's to come at the end of the Cars Tour season this year. And if you didn't catch it, yes, the date has changed to Saturday, November 6th. We wanted to get away from some other events in the region to make the best experience for our fans and make sure they can make all the races in this area that they really, truly want to hit. So everything's looking good. The tires look great. The cars are looking great. The track's looking good. And it's going to look even better when you join us here at Rockingham on Saturday, November 6th for the season finale for the Solid Rock Carriers Cars Tour. Can't be with us? Make sure you catch it live on CarsTour.tv.
Welcome back to the virtual Donington Park. What a race. So many different twists and turns in this one, JP. We never really knew who was going to win the championship between laps 1 and lap 35.
Yeah, exactly. It was just like this track. It was a roller coaster of a ride. On lap 1, we thought we had the championship wrapped up to Matthew Dench, and then a few minutes later, well, everything got thrown out of the window. We kind of didn't really think about it until the final few laps, where we kind of realized after again, a small mistake by Jackson Resende, something we haven't seen throughout the season happened. And then Fabio Zamperlini, out of nowhere, clinched the title. A major, major upset. And, well, I'm glad we got it because it was an amazing, amazing 50 minutes.
Leicestershire, England certainly has a fantastic racing course here in Donington Park. Let's go ahead and go trackside and speak with our pro champion. It's Fabio Zamperlini and JP Costas alongside.
Bom, Fábio, estamos aqui de volta como eu queria e, meu Deus, que loucura. Você veio pro campeonato para essa você veio pro campeonato em terceiro lugar, 16 pontos atrás do líder do Matthew Dench. Do nada, na primeira volta, obviamente, o Jackson acabou errando ali, teve um incidente e alguns minutos depois o Matthew completamente desconecta. E do nada, você vira o líder do campeonato. Me conta o que estava passando pela sua cabeça quando você viu esses dois incidentes.
Então, primeiro eu comecei a corrida atrás do Matthew, ele estava muito rápido e ele veio com a Lamb. Esse bop também, cara, foi sensacional. Eu acho que os carros ficaram muito equilibrados. O pneu do carro melhorou muito. Né? E eu vim seguindo ele, tentando fazer um 0x ali, porque o Scott estava atrás de mim e minha disputa era pro terceiro colocado do campeonato, né? E aí do nada acontece esse problema com o Matthew. Eu fico muito chateado, falei com ele lá que é chato, né, quando acontece isso, os problemas que acontecem. Às vezes o motor quebra, né, na vida real. Aqui a gente tem os problemas de desconexão. E, bom, aí eu fiquei de olho no Jackson, eu não conseguia ver o Jackson no relativo. Ele deu uma mutada também, que ele queria concentrar. E ele vinha bem ali atrás, ele ia ficar em primeiro no campeonato e em segundo. até que teve um incidente, eu acho que um piloto na frente dele perdeu um pouquinho a traseira do carro, ele não conseguiu desviar e acabou tocando e bateu e aí ficou de fora. O Scott estava muito rápido, eu estava forçando tudo ali no final. Eu tentei salvar um pouquinho quando eu abri uns 3 segundos antes do pit, por isso que caiu um pouquinho a distância, porque eu estava parando uma volta antes, eu precisava parar junto com ele, né? E aí eu consegui salvar para manter aquela volta. Mas, cara, é assim, meio que inacreditável, né? Você sair de um terceiro lugar no campeonato, brigando pelo terceiro colocado, sabendo que o Jackson e o Matthew estavam mais rápidos, e chegar no final com essa surpresa boa. Chateado pelo que aconteceu tanto com o Jackson como com o Matthew, mas feliz, né, da vida pelo meu campeonato. Eu fui consistente, mantive a cabeça no lugar as corridas todas, tive menos problemas e aí o resultado veio.
Foi definitivamente uma corrida muito, muito louca, né? A gente aqui ficou surpreso quando a gente descobriu que você ia pegar o campeonato depois do segundo erro, né? Segundo incidente do Jackson, mas foi absolutamente incrível. Antes de você agradecer teus patrocinadores, o que você tira dessa temporada inteira?
Poxa, foi muito bacana. A North America League Race está de parabéns com o campeonato. Os pilotos se respeitam bastante, é gostoso andar aqui na pista com a turma toda. Incidentes acontecem, a gente sabe que acontece, é uma corrida, vai ter contato, mas o respeito entre os pilotos é muito bacana, muito legal de competir aqui. As transmissões da PitStopTV também, cara, sensacionais, eu tenho curtido bastante. A gente não consegue assistir enquanto está pilotando, né, mas eu faço questão de ver depois, né, e é bem legal. Tô ansioso pela temporada 2, vou já anunciar aqui que essa foi minha última corrida pela Canaã, né? Eu tô seguindo um novo projeto, vou voltar para um antigo projeto que a gente tinha iniciado. Quero agradecer muito o Barreto e ao Tony Canaã por todo o apoio que eles me deram nesse momento todo, nessa trajetória toda. O Canaã tá vindo muito forte aí para a próxima temporada, com pilotos de altíssimo nível, né? Gustavo Ariel, Bruno do Carmo, o Jackson, que vai continuar lá, Pedro de Oliveira e tantos outros aí que vão aparecer, né? São pilotos muito rápidos, vão agradecer muito esse campeonato, e eu vou iniciar minha carreira com a DHR de novo, e vamos estar aqui no próximo campeonato tentando defender o título. Vai ser mais difícil porque vai subir bastante o nível, mas a expectativa é muito boa. Agradecer os patrocinadores da Canaã, né? A B8 Seguro, que continua me apoiando lá na DHR, né? A Resilk Velt, a Logitech e todos os parceiros que apoiam a gente, e tem tido todo esse sucesso aí, claro, com todo o apoio do Tony, né, que é uma pessoa sensacional. Muito obrigado.
Bom, eu tô super feliz por você, aqui eu quero desejar novamente os parabéns, e eu não posso esperar pela temporada 2, eu tô louco pra te ver de novo, que eu desejo tudo de bom na sua nova equipe, né, no seu projeto, e, bom, espero falar muito mais contigo na próxima temporada.
Ok, obrigado. Ok, guys, see you next season. Go ahead. Thank you.
Obrigado você e até a próxima. Well, Andrew, that was quite a long one, but I'm gonna try to keep it as short as possible while keeping his points. So, essentially, while talking about the race, he was happy with the BOP, the new BOP that apparently came out. He was really happy with it. He said the tires were working fantastically. And he started the race fighting for third. He was battling with Scott Reister for third place, and he was happy, just battling for that. But obviously, when Matthew disconnected, he was extremely sad. Obviously, that's not a way that you essentially want to win a race, let alone a championship. Obviously, kind of mixed feelings about it. And then he just kept an eye on his teammate, Jackson Rezende. And the point when Jackson was in 10th, 11th, 12th place, he said that he was going to finish second. So Jackson might have just stole the title. But a small mistake, a small mistake with, looks like a lapped car, maybe another driver just unfortunately spun out in front of his teammate. And that ended up sealing the championship. And, well, he couldn't believe it, just after fighting for third, just essentially having the championship handed out to you, he was extremely happy. And he said he had a lot of fun throughout the season. He's seen a lot of respect from the drivers. Battling. Obviously, he knows that contact happens. It's racing. Rowing is racing, so he's happy with that. And well, he has some big news because he's going to be leaving Kanan Esports for season 2. So that's probably something that I wasn't really expecting. He said obviously he wishes the best for Kanan Esports, but he's going to be moving on to new projects. And he's going to be he's going to be obviously coming back for season 2 in the North American Racing League. And well, he's happy for his new projects, and he's happy for Kanan Esports because apparently they're going to be coming out with new drivers, and well, it's going to definitely elevate the level of the championship.
Wow. Bombshell dropped there. Fabio Zamperlini leaving Kanan Esports on the coattails of a championship just in front of one Scott Reister. He's up next. Let's go ahead and bring in the driver of the 242. And Scott, we never thought that you'd be this close after everything that had gone on. Now, certainly earlier in the season, anything could have happened. But going into this evening, we didn't think Fabio Zamperlini or yourself had nearly this wide of an opportunity to go steal the championship, but obviously lap 1, contact between you and Jackson Resende puts him further back in the field. Then later on in the race, Matthew Dench drops out, and suddenly you're licking your chops because the championship is just ahead.
Yeah, it's a shame for what happened to those two. I don't really know what happened. I kind of looked at the replay with me and Jackson. I thought I was holding the inside line, but we got together, so I have to review it later, make sure it wasn't my fault. But then we saw Matt drop out from internet connections, and it was a new ball game at that point. Feel really bad for those two because they ran so well all season, and they deserved, to be up front. All the wins they had, and they were pretty dominant the whole season. And it's a shame that it came down to one race and it ruined it for both of them. So.
It's a shame in one way, but also proves the attrition from yourself and Fabio. Attrition even through a brand new iRacing build that dropped yesterday. What was different for you and the Mercedes and the rest of your Team Empire teammates? What was different going into this race and having that change up right before today's event?
I tested a few cars, and a couple of them were a little bit faster than Mercedes, but I'm so comfortable with the Mercedes, so I felt I would make less mistakes driving the Mercedes. I thought the new tire model was pretty nice. I didn't do too many long runs on the tires, so at the end of the race, I pushed too hard. Whenever Matt and Jackson dropped out, I was pushing too hard to catch Fabio, and he was just holding pace, just keeping him like a 2-second gap. So I burned up the tires trying to catch him, but that's all I could do at that point.
Yeah, you've got to certainly push to make up that gap and fight for a championship. Let's talk about next season. And, well, actually, before we even get to next season, let's talk about what's coming up much sooner than later here for the North American Racing League. Cash Days at Long Beach, a big project with you and everybody else here at the North American Racing League. And it's going to be a fun one. 4 hours of racing at Long Beach. Tell us about it.
It's going to be a fun race to watch. There's some really fast guys, some top teams driving. It's going to be a mixture of pro-am, and amateurs. So it'll be interesting to how the pros go through the field when that time comes. I think it's going to be a fun broadcast to pay attention to. Some super fast guys.
Well, each and every one of
real race car drivers also coming. Tony Kanaan and Daniel Morad. So it'll be one to watch.
Each and every one of these races has proved itself to be really, really good, exciting through and through, and North American Racing League has certainly earned its place on our roster here at PitStopTV. Fantastic racing in all 8 races. I can only wait to see what we have with an endurance event, team racing, for 4 hours on the streets of Long Beach, California. But also next season, a lot is coming up, a lot more drivers are entering, a lot of drivers returning. What's going on there? What can you tell us with Season 2 plans?
We just opened registration this afternoon. We already had 30 of the Season 1 drivers returning to Season 2. And then we opened registration, and we have over 55 entries already. So we'll probably be closing registration soon. There's, again, a split number of amateurs and pros, so it'll be some exciting racing. And you can already tell some of the new guys are racing with us already in this past 2 races, and they're really fast, those guys. So they're holding pace with all the front runners. It'll be probably a 10-car, anyone can win it type of series next season.
Cannot wait to see season 2. Very, very excited. Can't wait to get there, but let's focus on this evening, buddy. It's likely going to be second place in the championship, I would imagine. Just about a lock for second place for you. How does that wrap up this season, and who do you want to thank for it?
Yeah, second place is awesome. I don't think I deserved it. I think that Matt or Jackson should have been ahead of me, as dominant as they were, but it just so happened it fell in my lap. So I want to thank everyone that's participating with our series. Everyone that's driving in this series are good people, and it's fun to race with them. Super clean. We hardly have any protest of drivers driving bad. So I couldn't ask for anything more from this league than what I had set out to do. And you guys are doing an awesome job. So every time I watch your broadcast is fun to watch.
It's been a lot of fun to cover each and every one of these races. There's always some kind of twist and turn, some kind of storyline that develops out of these races, and tonight we had no shortage of them. Buddy, thanks so much for having us along for the ride. It's been a wild one for Season 1. Can't wait for Season 2. Can't wait to be back and see all of you guys for another fantastic season of racing.
Thank you, guys. You did an awesome job.
Scott Reister wrapping things up from the second place overall, second place in the championship as well. Certainly a pretty solid day to cap off a pretty solid season for him. Meanwhile, JP, we got to talk to somebody that is not going to be having as much of a great day. Certainly did not have as much of a great day. A lot to be disappointed with, unfortunately, but none of his doing. He was leading the race, gets disconnected, and he's headed your way.
Matthew, unfortunately, not the circumstances we would like to be talking to you today. It has to be heartbreaking for you. It was for us, watching you lead the race, and obviously, the instant the disconnect happened. So, obviously, before we talk about it, you looked really strong. The first few laps in the qualifying session, you were just in tune with the car and the track, wasn't it?
Yeah, the car definitely felt on pace, really planted. It was looking like it was going to be a relatively easy race, but week leading up to this race day, internet problems, random dropouts every now and then, and you get into the server and you just cross your fingers and hope nothing happens, and then all the cars disappear, and that's race done right there.
Yeah, it's just so unfortunate that something, just as quick as probably a few seconds can cause such massive complications. And yeah, you were looking strong. You were essentially the championship winner. Fortunately, Jackson had a small incident on turn 3, and that was it. After you saw it, I'm not sure if you caught that incident on your rearview mirror, but after that, did you get like a sigh of relief, at least for a few laps?
Yeah, well, while I was waiting for the internet to come back on, I knew the only way the championship could still be in contention there is if Jackson has some type of issue, and I got back into the server, and then my spotter's like, Rosenday's gone off, so it's like, oh, here we go, maybe.
And unfortunately, out of nowhere, Fabio Zamperlini came up and snatched the title. But, you looked strong. You were, if not the strongest driver, the second strongest driver throughout the season, at least in my opinion. And that has to feel good, being in contention for the win in pretty much each and every single race you took part in. Do you take that into consideration if you're signing up for Season 2? You just look back on those good moments?
Yeah, so definitely signing up for Season 2. I think most of the drivers on track this season will be there as well, alongside a whole bunch of new faces as well. So I'm going to try and grab a different internet provider and hopefully don't drop out anymore.
Well, I sure do hope so. With brand new drivers come brand new challenges, and I'm pretty sure you're ready to take them head on. And I'm happy to know that you're coming back for Season 2. And, well, I'm going to definitely wish you best of luck for Season 2. But before I let you go, do you have anyone to thank for, essentially your amazing season so far?
Just going to have to keep rolling with the VRS team. Their products definitely help with consistency and results show. So thank you.
Well, I'm pretty sure we're going to be seeing lots of you in Season 2, and I cannot wait to talk to you again. But unfortunately, not the circumstances again. We would like to talk to you, but I know you were just strong out there. It was amazing to see you race, and well, until season 2.
All right, thank you. Catch you all later.
Well, Andrew, as I mentioned, kind of heartbreaking to hear from him in these circumstances, but he has been amazing throughout the season, and unfortunately he just came short due to no fault of his own, at least on the final race. It just, you have to feel for the guy.
Certainly have to feel for Matthew Dench. I think potentially should have won this race and ends up coming up 8 laps shy of even the leaders, and plenty of laps shy of the win this evening, and of course then the championship. Let's take a look at our race results from Donington Park, the final race of the season. Fabio Zamperlini takes the win and the Pro Championship. Scott Reister takes second place, 1.6 seconds back. Pretty good recovery, all things considered, there for Scott Reister. Scott Kimbrough finishes third on the evening and will likely take third in the championship standings as well. Bryce Rodriguez moves up into fourth. He takes a top 5 along with Jose Antonio Ramos Lopez. Micah Burnett finishes 6th overall. Bruno Alcaraz then in the 7th position, loses that one position. That's going to prove, I think, to be pretty crucial, potentially in the amateur points. We don't know who the champion is yet. We will update you all as soon as we do know. Tyler Campbell finishes 8th, Federico Tamayo 9th, and Jose Antonio Ramos completes the amateur podium.
Finishing off in 11th place, we do have John Sadlek, 53 seconds behind the leader. Armando Bejarwan is going to be finished off 12th place, and the last driver to finish on the lead lap is going to be Spencer Hewins in 13th place. Now 14th place goes to Philip Ranieri. Carl Gross is going to be finishing off 15th. William Valdez and Giuseppe Rivas 16th and 17th respectively. Florence Rosa in 18th place, and the last driver to be at least one lap down is going to be Sean Patterson, as Joshua Benjamin in 20th place finishes 2 laps down.
Finishing 21st this evening, William Coffey gets disconnected mid-race, is not able to stay with any of his higher-up competitors, finishes 21st, 3 laps down, just in front of Jackson Resende, who has the lap 1 issue. We didn't catch the second off for him, but goes off, has an issue, what have you, finishes 4 laps down. Doesn't really finish the race much at all. 22nd position for Jackson Resende, just in front of Matthew Dench. We'll see how they all wrap up in the series standings in days to come. Rob Rodriguez finishes 24th. Jose Morado Manriquez gets disconnected mid-race, ends up 25th. Billy Barriman 26th, and Mark Scott, after his couple of spins, disconnects and finishes 27th, 30 laps down. So certainly not the day that a lot of these drivers wanted, but it's the day that a lot of these drivers ended up with. And in the case of Fabio Zamperlini and Scott Reister, certainly a benefit there. In the case of, obviously, Matthew Dench and Jackson Resende, not so much.
Yeah, exactly. It has been a day full of good and bad surprises for some drivers. I mean, you look at Fabio Zamperlini, he's probably going to be celebrating. Matthew Dench, unfortunately, not so much. He's going to be definitely looking, back into it. Just unfortunately a small mistake. Not small mistake. I mean, a small incident, maybe just a few seconds of dropped connection, costing him, nearly over 2 months, of championship. So it's a day full of surprises and a definitely unexpected race, at least for us, Andrew. I mean, we weren't really expecting any of this to happen, and well, for good or worse, it was a fantastic race.
It was a great race and a great way to cap off a championship. Couldn't have done it without Race Lab, Tam Livery, JS Consulting, and our partners here at PitStopTV. Of course, Tucson Sound Art, Race Page Setups, Whiplash Media, Permanent Makeup at Cryo and Maine, and BAM Racing Videos. A lot of great people making a lot of great things happen here at PitStopTV. Let's take a look at the upcoming broadcasts here, JP. There's a lot coming up. In fact, a brand new league logo slotted into that Thursday spot. We have not seen that black and blue MSRA Truck Series logo in some time, but it is back, along with the series, of course, this Thursday evening at 8:15 p.m. Eastern from the Bristol Motor Speedway. But let's not jump too far ahead just yet. Of course, Newark, Tuesday evening from the Phoenix Raceway, out in very sunny, very hot this time of year, Arizona, just south of Phoenix in Avondale. We've got race 23 of 25, so just as the North American Racing League wraps up a championship, we're getting ready to wrap up a championship and crown a champion in the North iRacing Series. Wednesday evening, you might notice, New Hampshire has been on there for a little over a week now. Well, New Hampshire has been pushed back. Issues last night getting things set up after the iRacing build. Push that race back, I believe that's race number 10 of 22. So the entire season then taking a shift back behind New Hampshire, Pocono, Dover, and everything else. So be ready for that schedule change for your Outlaws Sim Series schedule lineup. That means the next race that we have them that was supposed to be from Pocono, I suppose, will be lined up along with the Cars Esports Tour race at Hickory on September 22nd. Obviously, things back up from there. A lot is coming up for PitStopTV. It's a bit of a lighter week next week. Only 3 broadcasts, JP, but afterwards, things are actually 4 broadcasts, rather. I forgot to mention the MSRA Grand National Series is headed to us from Bristol as well next Friday. That should be a fun one. But also, the week following is going to get a lot more busy. You've seen some promos recently, one of those being for the Intimidator Challenge. That's coming up on September, I believe it's 24th, a Friday evening. And as has been mentioned even in this broadcast, the Cash Days at Long Beach event by the North American Racing League coming up on September 25th. So a lot is going on, a lot is coming up soon, and you can follow along with all of it on our social media channels.
Yeah, exactly. Make sure you follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/PitStopTV, on Twitter at twitter.com/PitStopTV_, Instagram at instagram.com/pit_stop_TV, and obviously on YouTube at youtube.com/PitStopTV1.
And of course, our Twitch link doubles as the Instagram handle as well. It's the same on both, pit_stop_TV. I've just received word that you can expect the amateur points sometime tomorrow. We don't know exactly when, but we'll get on that as soon as we can and make sure that gets posted as quickly as it possibly can, whether it be sharing the post from the North American Racing League or what have you. We will get that out with as much urgency as we possibly can. So watch out for that on social media. Those links that we just provided, well, those are where you can follow along with it. A lot has gone on this evening, JP, and a lot shakes out the championship in a lot of different ways. And somehow, we've just got to be okay with it. I mean, it's crazy to think that that is how it wraps up. So many different levels of heartbreak, so many different mistakes, so many different capitalizations from so many different drivers. There's just so much to unpack with this race, and it's going to take a while to get over it. What do you have? Final thoughts here from Donington and final thoughts from the North American Racing League Championship.
I mean, as you mentioned on the beginning of the broadcast, this has been the best GT3 season I think we ever had on PitStopTV. And this race, I mean, for some reason or the other, was just fantastically full of drama. You know, it was exciting on its own way, you know, just calculating on the spot the championship standings, you know, everything happening. And it was just crazy. And just, I mean, throughout the season, we had amazing races, one for each reason or the other. And this just sets up a perfect, you know, setup for season 2. And I just cannot wait. You know, we're still going to see the full names, the full 55 names, hopefully, and still the calendar, all that sort of stuff. This is just going to set up to be even better season 2, and I cannot wait to see what's in store for next season.
So much to look forward to for season 2 of the North American Racing League. Make sure to stay up to date here on PitStopTV as to when you can expect more NARL racing in the future. Before we go, once again, make sure to follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, the whole lot. But that will do it from Donington Park. Happy to have had you all here tuning in and joining us for tonight's action, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. For all of PitStopTV, JP Costa on the mic alongside this evening. You might have heard the footsteps of my cat earlier on as he ran across the desk. His name is Rocket. He's doing great. He's in the other room doing who knows what. We also had Trey Shawsworth on our crew this evening, of course, doing our social media over on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. For all of us here at PitStopTV, once again, thanks so much for watching. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV. I bid you farewell, I bid you adieu, and we will see you next time here at PitStopTV.